welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the third episode of Series 2 of Strange New Worlds, which was called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Yep.
Very imaginative title.
Shakespeare poem, apparently.
I should have known that. I studied English. So, whoops.
I had to Google it.
So, in this episode, La'an is visited by a individual from the future who informs her that something has changed in the past. At which point her reality shifts, and when she goes onto the bridge, Captain Pike is once again written out and no longer nowhere to be found. This seems to be a running theme. And Captain Kirk is in charge of the Enterprise. So after a brief altercation with Kirk, the pair of them are sent back in time to present day 2023 to find out where the splinter in time has occurred. La'an has to face certain elements from her past that come back to haunt her. Did you have any thoughts on this episode?
So it started with a brief day in the life of La'an.
Yes, it did.
That was quite, day to day.
I quite like the fact that I think it was a bit late. We got a fight scene or practice sparring scene between La'an and Benga.
Yes.
And I'm like, if that had been in the first episode, then I wouldn't have questioned where his sudden kung fu abilities and all that. Well, not kung fu, but his sudden fighting abilities seem to come from.
I think I felt quite funny with
Pelia.
I can't think of it now.
And that came back later on.
Yeah, but I found that was just quite funny, all these artefacts. And I just thought it's really funny that there's actually a Starfleet officer that's quite a bit dodgy in the sense that she's got all these relics at that point. And then, obviously, chaos ensues with that random visitor just popping out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. He did have his little display thing. I don't know if you noticed that was from the same display as the relativity. Their LCARs was the same as his holographic display.
Got you.
And then, from then on, I'm a bit... About the episode, it just sort of... I got the episode, I just didn't get why.
some things that stuck out to me. So, number one, I found it very impressive that La'an sleeps in full winged eyeliner and wakes up with it looking absolutely perfect. She didn't get it on the pillow. That 24th century eyeliner is... 23rd century, sorry. 23rd century eyeliner is top tier. I like the fact that they did a super stealthy... We're chasing a van sequence in a bright red car, like the most unsubtle vehicle you could possibly drive in. But
was better than the season 2 Picard chase scene though with Seven and Raffi.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that was part of what worked for me against this episode. Is you have the characters travelling back in time, and we just had that in Picard. So I wasn't as invested in that as anywhere near as much as I should have been. That should have been like, oh, this is fun, this is funny. But I'm sitting there feeling like I've seen a lot of these like attempts at humour with it. I've seen it before in Picard Series 2, and I've seen it it outstayed its welcome in that.
Yeah.
So to have it back in this didn't elicit the same kind of excitement as it probably should have.
Again, I was just like, we're giving another Kirk.
Another alternative Kirk.
Yeah, that's then effectively by the end of the episode erased. And I'm just like... There was a lot of character development in there, which was, interesting and sort of the life he's led. But again, I'm just like, but just give us Kirk then. If you're going to give us Kirk, just do it. I became less invested in it for his side of things. I mean, La'an's side of the things, her story, and I think going back to last week, that was an episode about being seen in the sense of Una wanted to be seen by people and everything.
It was a follow-up on some of the themes.
Yeah, and I do think like this whole sort of narrative of the episode was her dealing with her surname, basically, Noonien Singh. A lot of the, say, present day, as in here, present day stuff, it felt pointless at times. I wanted them to get to the plot stuff. I liked the chess scene. I thought that was brilliant with Kirk. I've played chess.
They allowed him to be smart.
Yeah.
Which I was getting a little concerned about. I thought they were really kind of painting him to be quite stupid. And then they had the scene of him playing chess and obviously showing off that he's not an idiot. So I thought that redeemed his character quite a bit, and it was funny, and it was kind of sweet as well. I wasn't too keen on La'an framing someone for shoplifting.
Yes,
I thought that poor woman.
Yeah,
that's a bit harsh.
And then
that was her Noonien Singh coming out in play there. I enjoyed them picking up on Pelia's past, the fact they visit her in the past as well. I thought that was a nice link up to earlier on. Is it just me though? I'm having real trouble understanding what the hell she's saying some of the times. The accent that she's putting on is so thick. Some of the time I'm like, what, pardon?
I am sometimes, but because I've recently watched Hunters.
Yes.
And she puts on a very thick accent in that.
I still love it, so I don't mind too much.
It was nice to have that connection, actually, that they're going to Sora. I know, if it had been
I like the revelation that she'd never done engineering.
Yeah,
And that's
she's
possibly
planted,
where she comes from. Yeah, where that comes from. I thought
planted
that was,
the seed,
that was
seed in her
nicely
head.
done.
Yeah,
I found Kirk quite unlikable to start with. Obviously, that's something to do with his, he has a different history, has a different background. They did end up making him extremely likeable, though, by the end, which is a shame that it was erased, essentially, like you said. But it wasn't as bad a portrayal as I was expecting.
No, again, I think it's a case of Paul Wesley's doing a brilliant job acting it, and then obviously people have got gripes maybe with the character, and that's a writing issue. But I enjoyed his performance in this, and like I said, I can't wait to actually see Paul Wesley's Kirk.
I actually quite like the romance between them.
I really do.
I thought that was handled quite well. It didn't feel too ham-fisted to me, and I liked her dropping her boundaries.
Yeah, I do. My only worry with that, though, is, again, the whole him not knowing who Khan is when they meet him in Space Seed. I'm just thinking, I hope maybe she's got a bit of a crush on him and it never sort of goes anywhere. Because otherwise, Kirk's going to have a relationship with...
Well, there's an elephant in the room with this entire thing, isn't there? They've now essentially created a splinter in time, haven't they?
Yeah.
So this whole episode, the eugenics war should have already happened. They've already done this before, though, in Voyager. Future's End, they travel back to the 90s, and the eugenics war was still not happening.
Yeah, and I think that's got a lot to do with writing verses. And then Enterprise tried to sort of quip this with the Temporal Cold War.
Yeah.
When she's fighting Larn, that Romulan at the end, she does mention that she travelled back to 1996.
Yes.
And she's had to wait all this time.
Yes. I think they are deliberately changing it.
Yeah, it might be.
I do. I feel like they've done it as well. One, it's something that needed addressing to a degree. They keep visiting present day and it's not happened yet. It needed addressing. And two, it gives them now essentially a bit of wiggle room to change up certain events and be able to say, well, this was the point where it all diverged. The only problem with that, though, is doesn't that now make Picard Series 3 Divergent Timeline as well? I quite like their explanation that it keeps getting pushed back. It's almost like Terminator, the fact that Judgment Day is something that is going to happen. If you avert it, it just gets pushed back. It's going to happen because that's the course of human ingenuity, is that we will build an AI that will do it eventually. And in this, it is we will mess with biology and genetics to a point where this will happen. The only thing that I'm kind of holding against it is that it always being Khan. I kind of feel like it should have been somebody else. Somebody else would always step into those shoes. It just might not necessarily be Khan.
And I think you say about Picard season 3 and stuff. I suppose they already tackled that in Picard season 2, where they were in 2023, and again, I think he opened that drawer, didn't he? Project Khan was in that drawer. So I don't suppose it is a divergent timeline. It sort of fits in with Strange New Worlds. I did like the whole idea of her coming face to face with him and having that moment, because to me it was sort of like she was the only person to go back and do all this, because it'd be a sort of like go back in time and save Hitler type moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's going to sort of want to, I think it was just one of those episodes where I think get to the point, and it was an hour long as well, which is 1 hour 1 minute was the runtime of the episode.
Really, was it longer?
Yeah, 1 hour 1 minute.
I just thought that it was dragging because, like I said, I'd seen present day Star Trek characters, present day and Star Trek characters in Picard series 2. I didn't realise it was 10 minutes longer. Christina Chong knocked it out of the park.
Yes.
Her final scene was fantastic. I didn't know she could act that well, to be honest, when she completely breaks, and particularly from a character that's been so stoic. I felt it.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah.
I really, really felt it, and I felt awful for her as well.
It wasn't a terrible episode. Like I said, the episode overall, just like I said, 10 minutes too long.
I thought the episode was, for me, was a bit of a roller coaster. So it kind of started, and I was very firmly in the kind of, it was rubbing me up the wrong way.
Yeah.
I was like, this is flying all against canon. I'm not here for this. And then they'd explain some of it, and I'd think, oh, this is okay. And then it'd get nearer to the resolution. I'm like, oh God, this is just breaking everything. This is completely dumb. To the point where by the time it got to the end and there was an explanation, I was actually pretty okay with it, which has surprised me. I'm less against if all of Strange New Worlds ends up being, and Discovery and whatever ends up now being in its own little corner pocket timeline. I'm almost preferential to that, because it means that any kind of divergencies, any kind of like little niggles here and there can now completely be explained as we are in a divergent timeline, so it doesn't necessarily matter as much anymore. So I can just kind of relax and enjoy it a bit more now without picking it apart quite as badly. So
See, I'm the opposite.
I was going to say, and I'm normally the one that's negative, and now
Yeah.
you're going to be optimistic, and you're going to throw my curmudgeonly ways
No,
out the window.
I agree with you to the extent of Discovery. Just
Yeah.
strangely, Worlds. If I found out that was Divergent timeline, I would be quite disappointed. Yeah, I'm just sort of like, I don't want Discovery. Yeah, sweep it under the rug, get rid of it, and it is what it is. But
Spock having a sister all the way over there.
They
Fine with
cleverly
that.
explained that by for Spock's purpose of he was
They
under
did.
orders never to mention it ever again. And I'm
I
just
don't know whether or
thinking,
not I'd go as far as calling it cleverly, but they did explain.
no, for
it.
Spock, I mean. But I don't want Strange New Worlds to be. It would actually put the show down in my
Do you think?
expectation. I would.
Well, to be fair, even if it is the prime timeline, even if events have changed it and the prime timeline has now been wiggled in a slightly different
If it all leads
direction,
into each other,
then I'm not too precious about that. I thought I would
I
be,
think-
but I'm not. As long as the explanation is relatively decent, I'm okay with it. And
you know,
I don't think it helped airing after episode 2, which was
no.
a high point. But I didn't hate it. I was expecting to hate
No.
it. I didn't hate it. I actually, at times, quite liked it. I think that was basically all down to La'an and Kirk, which is again something I didn't think I was going to enjoy. I'm like, oh God, please don't put these two characters together. And by the end of it, I was like, they're actually quite sweet. God, what's happening to me? Jesus Christ! I enjoyed it far more than I expected to. I'm left really. I finished watching it and I felt enormously conflicted because the way I am and the way I think about things, I should have hated it.
I thought you were going to hate it.
I should have
actually-
hated it.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I thought you were going to hate it.
Yeah, and I didn't. And actually, you know what? I know why I didn't. I'm biased. It's a La'an episode, and she's one
there
of my
is that.
favourite characters, and so I enjoyed it for that. But and we got more of a better character. We got her breaking down some of her boundaries. So for me, yeah, that's what I enjoyed. It was overlong. It was a bit repetitive in terms of what we've seen very recently from modern Trek, but I still kind of liked it. Oh, I did. I hate myself. I liked it. Shoot me.
I'm surprised. I am surprised. I am. I was.
So what would be your light rating for this? I went first last time, so I think it's your turn this time.
I'll tell you.
Out of 5.
I'm going with 2.5. Middle of the road. It's an average episode
If it
to me.
destroys canon.
There will be. I'll smash all the lights.
There
There
we
will
go,
be no
there we
lights.
go.
Didn't love it. I didn't hate it.
For me, again, kind of middle of the road, but more positive middle of the road. So I would go with 3 out of 4 lights. I wanted to give it that extra half just for.
No.
Well, no, La'an's just for her breakdown at the end, which
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. yeah.
I don't mean it's an offence to the actress. I didn't know she could go that far. Not
Yeah,
many
yeah.
people can just are comfortable with losing it on camera so completely. So once again, thank you for watching. We've had some really good response
Yeah.
to our last 2 videos. As a starting channel, I'm really
pleased,
happy
yeah.
with it. And thank you to every single person that's watched and come along for the journey. And we hope you will come with us for the next one. The subscribe button is dangling somewhere, either that corner or that corner. I can't remember. One of the corners. Feel free to hit it. And if you could like or comment, that'd be great. We try to respond to every comment that we get.
Yeah. I'm just going to throw in a quick nod to Star Trek Prodigy at the moment because what's happened with that is absolute shambles. I think from Paramount. The hashtag I think is Save Star Trek Prodigy.
Save Star Trek
if
Prodigy.
you're online, get that, and we'll link in the petition below for Star Trek Prodigy. So please sign it, get on there, just share it.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it yet, it's still available in the UK. I believe it's been deleted in America's Paramount Plus.
Is it Tuesday here? I think
Possibly.
Something like
If
that.
you can binge it, because I hadn't watched it until this week, and okay, it's got I wouldn't say a rough first 2 episodes. It doesn't feel particularly Star Trek. It didn't for me for the first couple of episodes, but after that, once you get to about episode 4 or 5, trust me, it's one of the best. Really is, which I was surprised about. So, save Star Trek Prodigy.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Live long and prosper.